It's a great morning for our city and for Louisville's heritage and history here today. After months of negotiation and hundreds of hours of work by many people to facilitate and broker an agreement, I'm really pleased to announce that a tremendous resolution for the historic Whiskey Row block behind me has been reached. These architectural treasures, once the epicenter of our historic bourbon industry and once slated for demolition, will be saved and renovated, revealing and preserving all of their grandeur and all of their glory. The agreement, literally reached over Derby weekend, as of this morning as well, saves the 5 westernmost buildings and preserves the facades of the eastern buildings. Now the agreement, this is an agreement in principle. It's still subject to several closing conditions and public approvals, but the parties are all working together in good faith and good haste to close this transaction as soon as possible. Today was the only day in a long time where all of us were going to be in town, so we wanted to get together and announce this after a good long weekend of hard work. A group headed by entrepreneurs and community leaders Steve Wilson and Laura Lee Brown have agreed to purchase 4 of the buildings from current owner Todd Blue and his company Cobalt Ventures. Todd will donate a 5th building to the Louisville Downtown Development Corporation, which in turn will donate it to the investment group. Todd will retain ownership of the 2 eastern buildings and of course the vacant lot there. The 2 facades will be preserved to protect the architectural heritage and integrity of the block. The city will give Cobalt permission to demolish the buildings behind the facades for an exciting development project that Todd will have. This agreement is a win for everybody involved, and it allows not only for the saving of historic buildings, but creates opportunity for new investment and new architecture on the eastern corner. The investment group, which was created by the Downtown Development Corporation and includes the Brown-Forman Corporation and several other partners, is paying $4.85 million for the properties. Once again, Brown-Forman, one of the great companies in the world, has shown its commitment to our city. The company is a model corporate citizen that cares deeply about Louisville. Now, pending Metro Council approval, the city will provide a $1.5 million grant to help stabilize and preserve the buildings and facades, work that I hope can begin as soon as possible. This grant is a great investment, not only in our heritage, but as a catalyst for the many jobs that this project will create. Council leadership and members of council have been briefed on the agreement, and at noon today, Council President Jim King, Councilman David Tandy, who represents downtown, and Councilwoman Tina Ward-Pugh will introduce an ordinance authorizing the expenditure. I want to share how inspired I was to work with the entire team that put this deal together. There was a determination from everybody, the seller and the buyers, to do what was right, not only for our city today, but especially as we all looked out for generations to come. Louisville is blessed to have such a unique architectural collection of cast iron facades that stretch down Main Street. And there was a shared intensity amongst the group that was working on this to maintain the authenticity that Whiskey Row provides, so that when we know, look, we're just passing through right now. Some of the decisions that we're going to be making won't be remembered in the course of history, but these buildings will be, and everybody was super excited to be part of preserving them and growing them. The renovation and new construction that occurs here represents the best of preserving our past, but also looking ahead and building our future as well. Now, buildings are not just things. They're places where experiences happen and potential comes alive. With the vibrancy of the Yum Center and this entire area, we all know that Whiskey Row is clearly one of our city's magical places. Many people made this deal happen, but I want to say a special thanks to Steve Wilson and Laura Lee Brown. Their dedication to our city and its history, their creativity, their innovation is inspiring. Laura Lee had another commitment this morning, but her partner in life is now here to say a few words. Please welcome Steve Wilson.
Thank you all. What is the value of our heritage? How should we protect the roots of our community? What value would you put on Locust Grove? How would you do that? Would you appraise the land, come up with a value for the land, and check the value of the houses in the neighborhood? Add that. How many bathrooms does it have? But what is the history of that house worth to us? What is the value of the Belle of Louisville? Would you value it? Is it a boat to be valued by the value of other boats? Or is our pride in her iconic image to us worth something? How about Cherokee Park? Should we sell that by the acre? I think not. And I think it's all the people in this negotiation are very aware of the significance of these iron fronts. They're not only a Louisville treasure, they're a national treasure. There's only one other area in the whole United States that has a larger collection of iron front buildings. And our city, the history of these buildings, our city's economy began here on the riverfront. And as the mayor said, my wife couldn't be with us, but Laura Lee's family has a lot of history in this area. This was the first home of Brown Foreman. So I'm just proud to be here today. It was an intense weekend throughout the early hours of the morning. And I think it's most important for all to know this would not have happened if Todd Blue did not want to save this block. So we owe a great deal of gratitude to him. As I said, it was a complicated negotiation. Everyone is negotiating in good faith. We trust that a great deal of work will be done in the next 60 days. And as the mayor said, perhaps we'll be able to close even sooner. Thank you.
Now, this agreement could not have happened without the flexibility and willingness of the owner, Todd Blue, to consider options other than demolition. Todd's been a committed downtown developer, historic preservationist for more than the past decade. Look at the Schiller Hardware Building, Mercantile Lofts, and others. He was also instrumental in making the Yum Center happen as well. So he's been at this for quite some time, and he was always looking for the best solution for the city. Now, some people in recent months have criticized Todd, but there's no doubt that he was the guy that helped seal this deal, and he's going to donate one of his buildings as proof of his commitment, continued commitment, I might add, to downtown and helping preserve our history. So let's hear from Todd. Great job, Todd.
Good morning. Excited today. First want to thank our new mayor, Mayor Fischer. He is a solutions-oriented, business-focused mayor that this community should be very grateful for. And we have a great future in this community because of this mayor and his ability to look at business and put it first. So it's an exciting situation, an exciting morning. Our goal as a company and as a community citizen is always to make sure that this block get developed. And while over time there might have been difference of opinions on the best way to effectuate that development, with today's announcement, with Laura Lee and Steve and their community focus and their leadership and their risk-taking, this block is definitely going to be developed. A lot of people were involved in the effort, including but not limited to, obviously at the top of the list, Mayor Fischer, Craig Greenberg, Laura Lee and Steve, Ellen Hessen, Matt Smith, Glenn Cohen, Robin Smith, Joe Cohen, Margaret Handmaker, Ed Glasscock, Alan Delisle, and many, many others. And we all worked hard. We all had different complications along the way, but we came together in what probably could be construed as one of the best public-private partnership opportunities that this community has seen. In closing, I just want to say that we have a lot of work to do over the next 60 days. We have to use the same thing that the 90-day period provided for us, which, by the way, with County Attorney Scott Lilly and our attorney and the mayor, we wouldn't be sitting here today without the 90-day agreement, which brought us to this day. So we have to commend all of them for that mechanism, which allowed us to be here today from a legal perspective. So let's look at the next 60 days, work hard together, bring this thing across the finish line. We have a lot of work together, and thank you all for this opportunity.
Yeah, I'd say the thing that characterized the team that was together here is when you're involved in a lot of negotiations, there's people involved that are always looking at reasons not to make a deal. This group shared the desire to make a deal happen. So it was just a wonderful group of people focused on a great, noble goal here. Alan Delisle and his entire team at the Downtown Development Corporation, the DDC, including Patty Clare, and I should mention that Chairman Jim Welch, the work that he did in pulling the various investors together, making sure everybody's voices were being heard throughout this process was tremendous. A lot of heavy lifting, seeking investors, getting the right people involved, helping strike an agreement. DDC and Jim never gave up, just like everybody else. So I'd like to have Alan Delisle come up and say a few words on behalf of the DDC. Alan?
Well, I will be very brief because most of it has been said. Our executive committee did meet this morning, and approved our role in this agreement. And so we're excited to work with all the parties behind us to make this happen in the next few months or weeks, maybe. It was a priority for us, for our board of directors from early on. We've been working on this for over a year. We've been exploring ideas, thinking about it, having discussions with Todd. Todd showed his flexibility way back then. We have been playing an active role, as the mayor indicated. Jim Welsh and other board members have been raising money to make this happen. We have been helping with the negotiations, exploring strategies, ideas, and there's been a lot of creative people, a lot of creative ideas. And we've just tried to leverage our capabilities and our resources as primarily a private sector driven organization that looks at quality development. That is our job. So we are pleased to be accepting one of these buildings as a charitable contribution and then transferring it to the development. Our board has been very active on this, as I said, for about a year. The entire board, David Karam is here, Ed Glasscock is here, of course our co-chairman Jim Allen and Jim Welsh, but just about every board member has touched this in some shape or form, and I just want to thank them because there's nobody that you would want around a table than that group of private sector leaders when you're trying to get something as important as this done. Lastly, I just want to end on just a couple of points that have been made already, but I just want to underscore them. Our focus is singular. We care about job growth and additional investment in downtown that drives job growth. So there's a lot of special interests, but that's our focus every day. How do we get there? How do we make something special happen to create jobs for the mayor's platform? And we've done a little work on this. We've looked at, a $30 or $40 million investment behind us. What will that mean in terms of job creation? Well, approximately 300 to 400 new jobs or jobs in general in that building behind us. Think about those things being taken down, the walkways, activity, vibrancy. Think about Todd doing his development on the corner. This will be one of the best blocks in the country, and our board had that vision from day one. And lastly, the future users, I'd like to speak to them because I know there's a lot of companies, and many of you are all dealing with them, running around looking at possibly locating in this area. The new arena, Whiskey Row. So pretty soon, we're going to be open for that business, for phase 2, if you will, of the investment in this very special arena district. And we're looking forward to working with all of them to make this their location. I would also like to thank again the mayor and his team. Jim Welsh and Jim Allen, the business community in general, Laura Lee Brown and Steve Wilson and Craig Greenberg. What a great thing you've done stepping up. Cobalt Development, Todd, you and your team. The other investors, Julie Jones has been critical to this. A lot of us know what she's done right next door. Brown Foreman. I want to thank the preservation community. They have come forward with some very good ideas, and I'd like to thank the council for their leadership as well. Thank you.
Now we're joined here today by Jim King, Metro Council President, David Tandy, whose district, of course, we're in, and Tina Ward-Pugh, who's on the Landmarks Commission, has been very active in the project as well. And, you know, city can only be as strong as the bond between the mayor and the Metro Council. We've got a great partnership here. Very proud of that. Let's hear from Jim King here today on behalf of the Metro Council. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But I do have to correct one thing. I think you said that we'd been working all weekend on this, and I think I saw a few of us out at the Derby. So, yeah, exactly. But so I guess someone probably had to work through the Derby. Let me some group that has been left out, I guess, in terms of the thanks here today, are the preservationists that really care about things like this, and that made a point to make this a priority when the subject came up. So I don't want the citizen effort on this to be forgotten. Let me also say that the Metro Council, for its part, is very excited to save this part of Main Street. When we worked on the arena project, we were counting on these buildings back here to be redeveloped and to be used for businesses that would have employees and that would pay occupational taxes and that would pay income taxes and all those things that would help support the TIF that's on the arena and help support the arena in general. And to have these torn down and maybe even have a parking lot here for 5 or 6 years, or who knows how long, would certainly not have been the type of thing that we'd wanted to see happen with the arena in the arena district. So we're very happy that the mayor has been able to pull this team together and to make this deal. I think his business background certainly made a difference here. I think, as Todd Blue said, Mayor Fischer's business background and his deal-making ability certainly made a difference here in this project. Spending money is all about priorities. We have a budget coming up. The Metro Council is going to be working with the mayor on that, but we know that the budget is tight, so we don't spend money on things like this frivolously. We are very careful to spend the taxpayer dollars. I think the council as a whole will find this as a very worthwhile project, and we're just very pleased to be a part of it. Thank you very much. I know that my two colleagues, Councilwoman Tina Ward-Pugh and Councilman Tandy, have been introduced. I don't know if either one wants to say anything, but let me step back and turn it back over.
I just want to point out one thing. It's amazing what a mint julep will do. Or, for that matter, maybe a lily. But no, we are certainly excited about having this project go forward. It's all about job creation and job growth in our community, and so we're proud of the result that has happened. And again, I do want to underscore the citizen involvement here. Sometimes it gets overlooked that sometimes when you get a deal that is brought to you, that may not be the best thing. And it's only until you have that give and take that happens in the public discourse that you do ultimately come up with good, solid solutions. And so, and this is an example of that as we go forward. And so, again, I commend everyone that's been involved with this. We look forward to doing our part to continue to help move downtown forward in a very positive and exciting way. Thank you so much.
All right, we're wrapping it up here. So before we take any questions, I also wanted to thank a few other folks in my administration who've worked on this deal. First off, while they're not in my administration, they're certainly a strong partner. The county attorney's office did a great job advising us here, thanks to Scott and Mike O'Connell and their whole team. IPL, Jim Mims, Jim's over here, did a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure everything was done properly here, so great job to you guys as well. Margaret Handmaker, my Chief of Economic Development, tireless work on this, as well as Ellen Hessen, my Chief of Staff, these folks over here. You know, it really takes a team of people that are not looking at the clock. You know, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 in the morning, a deal knows no time bounds. So everybody worked really selflessly on this. Chris Pointer, great communications, and then Tommy Clark, who's my special projects manager, was assigned full-time to this project and really helped put it across the finish line as well. So thank you to everybody for coming here today. It's an exciting day for our community, for generations to come. With that, we'll take any questions. Okay, see you later.
How close where does these buildings do you think come to being demolished?
How close did they get to being demolished? I felt like there was goodwill on behalf of all the parties all along. Again, when you're in negotiations, you can tell people oftentimes come up with excuses not to make deals. This was a team that was coming up with solutions to make a deal happen. So you really have to ask Todd that question, I suppose. But I felt like there was goodwill and there was going to be a resolution all along. Todd?
I would just reiterate what I said earlier about the 90-day agreement being the ultimate facilitator to save these buildings. And, you know, the acknowledgement and study of that agreement from the beginning, if you look at it, it really honestly is what will inevitably save these buildings.
Todd, do you know what you're going to do in this corner yet?
We don't. We don't.
Obviously, the development of the Iron Quarter stalled with the economic climate. What kind of timeline do you think there is in terms of actually not just saving these structures, but really developing them?
We're looking at an 18-month timeline. We're not sure how long it'll take to, of course, the very first thing to do is to stabilize them. And as the mayor said, we're looking for the city to help us do that. And once that's done, we'll be doing, as we did with 21C, we'll be doing market studies and analyzing the values of the building, what businesses might want to move here, as someone else mentioned. And I can only promise you that we'll do as good a job as we did at 21C if possible.
Do you know which of the 5 buildings you're donating at?
Yes. 119.
Yeah.
119. Which building we're donating?
The mayor just reminded me to make sure the 18 months is the period of time we're going to be taking to stabilize and study the master plan. So as far as the finish date, we're not sure of that yet, but as quickly as we can.
Does this project have a higher priority for you?
No, not a higher priority, but today is about saving the history of our community, and Museum Plaza is a different kind of project.
You think at some point soon you'll see?
Yes, sometime really soon.